every Wednesday, 4:30 Central Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're dropping Want to Know Wednesdays. This is our third one. If you like the video, please leave a comment. Please ask a question for the next video, and we'll answer it. And please don't forget to subscribe as well. Share the content with other people if you really like and dig what we're doing here. Today we're talking about, actually this goes back to a question that someone had the other day on the second video. Just wanting to see, hey, how does, in typical funds or in your fund, whatever, just high level, how do all the funds move? How do people get the benefits through different LLCs and all that stuff? So I've kind of got it drawn out on a whiteboard, and we're going to kind of go through a typical structure. There's a lot of different ways to do it, right? There's never just one way to skin a cat. And so, I don't know why people ever say that. Who wants to skin a cat, I guess. Maybe it's a biology thing. But, there's a million different ways to play the game and have success. I think that this is fairly common structure. And again, this can be real estate. This can be business. This can be, this is just kind of private equity in general. So, again, a lot of the terms change, but just as far as the flow and how that all works, let's kind of just step into this right now, all right? So basically, you got a lot of different parties when you're going through and doing something like this, right? And so as far as different parties, you've got a lot of individuals. And it could be individuals, it could be an entity, it could be trusts, it could be just different very large companies, it could be whatever, right? But you've got different people, different organizations that are the LPs. What LP means is they're limited partners, right? So a lot of times limited partners take on a little bit less risk, meaning they don't have to sign on the bank notes or the loans, and they're only in it for their investment. So if the project were to go sideways or upside down, whatever, they'd lose the $50,000 they put in. They would lose the $1 million that they put in. They would lose the $500,000 they put in. We have LPs that put in anywhere from $50,000 up to $6, $7, $8 million per project. And so they're in it just for the project itself. They're not necessarily taking on the risks that the GPs would. So the GPs stands for general partner. The GP a lot of time is the person that's going to find the deals, find the businesses that we're going to invest in. They also have to network and have a list of investors to be able to go to be able to pitch deals to and raise money from, right? So the general partner will set this whole structure up. They create a lot of the terms. They're going to go out and sign on the, get the debt for the properties. They're going to go under contract on the property. They're going to front the earnest money on the property. They're going to sign on the bank notes and sign on the guarantees on the property if there's any of those. So they're going to take a little bit more risk. They've got time associated, right? They've got to find operators, right? And there's sometimes where the GP will also have control of the property management company, which is our case, right? So there's also the property management company that's involved, or if it's a business, the operating management team, right? And usually they're different people, right? Usually the GP has some control over the operating team, and obviously gets to choose the operating team. LPs don't get to choose the operating team. GPs are in control of who's operating the project from a day-to-day standpoint. The LPs also, they're not in it day-to-day. GPs are typically not in the operations day-to-day either. They're typically going and structuring and putting a lot of these deals together. They're deal type guys, and then they're following through and making sure that the operations are getting done so that there's money flowing back up to the investors from the asset, whether that's a property or a business, right? So the manager of the fund, the GP can be one person, it can be 3 people, it can be 10 people, whatever. Usually one of those multiple people or that one solo person, there's usually one dedicated manager of the fund. And usually general partnership is listed as the manager in the fund. So if you have a general partnership LLC, in the fund documents, the fund is its own LLC, right? And in the fund LLC documents, it will say that GP LLC is the manager of the fund. And then usually the general partner, that general partnership group, the general partner LLC will appoint one individual to kind of be the manager of the fund as well and kind of be the lead on it. So general partnerships put together and get all these documents drafted for the fund LLC. They'll then take it to investors, and then the investors will invest their money into fund LLC. And then Fund LLC will start an LLC where the property or the business is going to be. And then it will acquire and the property will be down here, right? And now this management company employs people, service techs, people on site to staff it, property managers, leasing agents, obviously if it's a business, all the roles that it takes that this business would take to run and get revenue, get customers in here, get tenants in here to get revenue, to then also this management company is responsible for paying all the expenses. So insurances, property tax, other services that, service costs that go in here, they're going to pay all those bills. Then what's left is the net operating income, which we've talked about on other videos, or the profits. There's cash flow that's left. There's, taxable income or, a loss of taxable income, a negative taxable income. So what will happen then is the cash flow plus the tax benefits or the tax liabilities will go up to the fund LLC. And that is then distributed out to each of the investors. So if this is a piece of real estate, the depreciation is going to be held in the real estate on that LLC, but it's going to roll up, and the investors are ultimately going to get the benefits of the depreciation in the LLC, or the cash flow from the property that's then in the LLC that is in the fund LLC. The fund LLC is the one cutting distributions and whatnot. The manager of the fund, how we have it set up, the managers of the fund can also invest into the limited partners, invest along with the limited partners their own money into Fund LLC. So Fund LLC has something like, it might be called Class A and Class B shares. Class A shares only go to limited partners. Class B shares only go to the general partnership group as, can be sweat equity. So, and then basically what will happen is, what we do is our dollars are treated just like, so every single deal that we're doing as GPs, we're always investing money in with the LPs. That shows obviously that we're confident in the deal that we're doing if we're bringing 5 to 15 to 20% of the equity that we're raising, right? That shows that we're confident. Our money is treated just like all the other limited partners' money, right? But the fund is also responsible for paying certain fees and is also responsible for paying, once we hit different returns and get different, the better that we do for our investors, then the more of the money that is left over in the fund is kind of split with the limited partnership and the general partnership group, right? So the general partnership group gets benefits from the fund, from the property based on performance. And when you hit those performance tiers, you get more of the leftover cash as a split with the limited partners. Same thing with the property management company or the management team. Sometimes the general partnership, they have benefits that go back and forth. And sometimes the property management and operation, this is not always, but sometimes the management team or the property management company, whatever, will also get benefits from the fund itself for performance and everything. And obviously the LLC/property, the LLC that the property is in, or the property, obviously pays money up to the management company for those employees if they're not actually staffed in the actual business or at the actual property. So like in property management, a lot of times the employees will actually sit at the property management company level, and the property will pay the management fees and salaries of those people that work on this site. Now, if this is an actual operating business, the business might actually employ a lot of the employees, such as a HR person, or as a office admin, or as a receptionist, or bookkeeper, or a director of the company, something like that. But the management team might be where the CEO sits. The management team might be where the VPs sit and stuff like that. So again, that just kind of depends on the guys that set up the fund and how they want it to work and how they want all this stuff to flow. But you can see that there's a lot of moving pieces. And this is actually a pretty watered down. There sometimes are multiple LLCs here or one more LLC in between. And again, these can be LLCs up here or different entities, but there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of things to pay attention to. And, and we're to the point where we've got 7 or 8 of these fund LLCs, right? And then obviously all of our properties, all of our LPs, our general partnership group. So there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things that need to go right, a lot of things that you got to pay attention to, a lot of detail. And when you're raising LP funds, and like we've raised, 50, 60, 70 million bucks of equity, right? That's a lot of equity to put to work. That creates a lot of properties. That creates a lot of tenants. That creates a lot of, we're taking care of a lot of families. They're living with us, right? We're paying a lot of insurance, a lot of real estate taxes. There's a lot of parcels of real estate down here. I don't know how many parcels of real estate that we have. Between the 10, 11, 12 properties that we've got, we've probably we've probably got, I don't know, 75 pieces of real estate that we're paying real estate tax on, right? So our teams have to know what's going on. You got to be detailed. You have to have people leading who are strong leaders and talented and good, because it's not like we're just doing this one time. People that are doing this again and again and again. So they could have this drawn out, 30 different times, because they've got 30 different funds going at the same time. So I hope that helps. I thought this was a good question, and I've got a list of other things that I was actually going to talk about today on this Want to Know Wednesday. But when I saw this question, I'm like, hey, this is what I want to roll with. This is a good question. I like it. I've never actually, I don't think I've ever actually kind of drawn it out. I've talked about it, but never have actually drawn it out. And again, this is kind of high level, not 100% perfect, but I want to make it something that you guys can grasp onto and pick up with and run with and start to have an understanding a little bit of how this works. Thanks for joining us on today's Want to Know Wednesday.